Hi, my name is Debbie Matson. I've grown up in southeast Michigan and Toronto, Canada, but my family has very close ties to the Upper Peninsula, or what we call the UP of Michigan, especially on the Lake Superior side. My great-grandparents immigrated from Finland and went to a small town on the far west side of the UP called Ironwood. And among other things, they built a cabin on what is called Little Girl's Point on Lake Superior, which is a beautiful cliff that looks out onto the lake. So I'm going to tell you about a piece of that special place and why this object is more than just a rock. This rock is straight from the Lake Superior shoreline, and my family had two special places on Lake Superior. So one is the cottage. My dad and his siblings grew up going to that cottage on Little Girl's Point with their parents and grandparents, who actually grew up and met in Ironwood, and so much of our family was still there at the time. They would spend hours picking over the rocks on a calm day to find the most unique ones. And this is something that my grandpa will talk about anytime, and so it's a place that we have grown to love too, and a connection that I have with my grandpa. Um, and then when I was little, we still had the cottage. We would drive the 10 hours to get there. We'd fix up the house and spend the days on the beach, which wasn't much of a beach. It's mostly rocks similar to these, but they're come in reds and grays and all different combinations. And they have cool patterns on them, and we would try to find the most unique rocks. And when we had to sell the cottage, my immediate family just couldn't stay away from Lake Superior, so we began to camp in Canada in a place called Agua Bay, which is north of the Sioux. So this is the Lake Superior that is very close to my heart. We camped there for a week almost every year for the last 10 or 12 years, spending days on the shore, and again, just like the one on Little Girl's Point, um, almost entirely stones, and we would spend time looking for agates lying on the rocks in the warmth when it was 50 degrees in the water, and trying to bury each other in rocks and just trying to find the most unique ones. So we still had that connection to Little Girl's Point though, and so last year we went back there, and this is where this one comes from, as we spent some time with the extended family that we still have there. We went to that same beach that my grandparents and my dad and even us played on, and we found this one. And this rock, right now, it's not in a specific place, but someday when I have my own garden, I will put it in the garden with the other rocks that I've gathered from Lake Superior, just as my parents have. Some as stepping stones, some as filler, but they just remind us of a piece of the North when we're in the South, and it's the most tangible connection I have to that greater sense of peace and relaxation, but also of the history of my family, and that connection that I have with my grandpa.